Welcome to another movie plot and enjoy the memories. It begins on the streets of a sunken city after global warming has caused water levels to rise around the world. The rat-infested city of London is constantly under heavy rainfall and many of the lower boroughs are completely submerged. In this moist metropolis, the trenchcoat-wearing gun-toting detective Harley Stone hunts the serial killer who murdered his partner 3 years ago. A shared psychic connection to his target led Stone to believe that the elusive slasher will be preying upon this waterlogged nightclub tonight. After the guard dog checks his ID at the door, the anxiety-ridden recovering alcoholic enters to only order coffee and eat sugar for most of the movie. He searches the club during his personal time as we learn from a call with the police chief that his cowboy antics got Stone suspended. A lady asks him to watch the door while she uses the bathroom, but Stone can't resist getting distracted by the fan service on stage. Remembering that he has a job to do, it's too late as the woman's already been torn apart and her heart's missing like all of the other victims. The slasher taunts Stone with bloody writing on the mirror, but nobody seems to have witnessed anything or have a drop on their hands. Detective Dopey then almost blames the poor dog just for having claws, but luckily notices a trail of blood and follows it outside to where the monster has already disappeared into the soggy city. With Stone being the best person for the job, he's reinstated much to Paulsen's annoyance and receives a new by-the-book partner, unfortunately named Detective Dick Durkin. Our detective has had his suspicions, but it isn't until an anonymous delivery when the police confirm that the killer's been eating the hearts too. The new partners return to the crime scene where Durkin is made to wait outside while Stone goes into Sherlock Holmes up some deductions. The shotgun-wielding owner tells him to leave his fine establishment, and despite the doorman seeing everything, he's unable to answer questions because he's a dog. Returning to the Jeep to act a nuisance towards his partner again, Stone's informed about another victim, so they race across town to investigate. Durkin rear-ends his partner upon arrival, but they just brush it off like it didn't happen and go upstairs to discover another person with their heart ripped out. Blood smeared on the ceiling, and the astrological sign Scorpio tells Durkin that there's something satanic about the killings, as his education comes from working with psychopaths. It also gives us a connection between the victims, as all of them have been the sign Scorpio, including Stone, who finds his former partner's gun planted at the scene. He kindly demands that Paulsen get a DNA check on it and receives a mold of the killer's teeth, who clearly isn't human, as these are some big rat-like chompers. Stone goes one way with his theories, thinking that the killer's a completely mindless beast despite evidence to the contrary, while proper police procedure and his partner's mindful approach has Durkin thinking the killer's only human. But come on, look at this thing. He's also just the much calmer detective, as Stone can sense the Scorpio killer whenever he's watching them and so is constantly on edge. Needing some time to himself, Stone dunks the new guy's car keys in the always foot-deep water and drives to the grave of his previous partner. The widow Michelle's already inside, which adds to the guilt because they were having an affair at the time of her husband's murder. They were also deeply in love until Stone ditched her for this vendetta, but says that he doesn't know if he can catch the killer anymore. Michelle tells him to just stop trying, so they return to his run-down apartment, which is infested with flying rats because somebody doesn't know how to close the window. Trying to catch up with the child psychologist, Stone said earlier that he hadn't slept in 4 days, so he immediately passes out when sitting down. Michelle stays there the night, and in the morning Stone leaves her in his apartment to meet up with his partner, where we see more of his childish shenanigans. They continue their investigation when Durkin tries to give his stressed-out partner a massage but gets a gun pointed in his face because what the hell. Still able to get a surprisingly good-looking full English breakfast in this dystopian world, Durkin says that the killer only strikes during high tide and tries to link it to the lunar cycle. The Scorpio beast shown to have razor-sharp claws and goes to Detective Stone's apartment while Michelle's just waking up. She willingly risks it all eating this dirty chocolate she finds on the refrigerator, then takes a shower for a tension-building psycho moment. We follow the shotgun-stealing monster through the apartment building and into the bathroom when the detectives get a call about an intruder. But when they arrive, it's already gone without making itself known to Michelle, who's completely unharmed. Instead, it kills a woman in an apartment downstairs who lets out a loud scream, and despite having these long intrusive claws can wield a shotgun. At least well enough that when Durkin's the first one through the door and gets a little ahead of his partner, the monster just blows him back out through a window. Stone's sure that he hits it multiple times with his magnum, but it just runs away while taking a bite of Michelle's shoulder on the way past. When he goes outside, Stone begins to have a panic attack with all of the people around and passes out, sending us into a flashback to 3 years ago. It shows a more well-composed Stone in the flooded tunnels of the London Underground subway system where his partner was killed. Stone was also clawed by the monster, turning him into the paranoid gunslinger that he is today and giving him this psychic connection to it. Waking up in the hospital sometime later, Stone is greeted by Durkin, who was luckily wearing his vest when he got shot through the window. That earns him a knuckle sandwich, of course, and after Stone leaves Michelle at the hospital, the detectives return to the station to give their report. First threatening Paulsen for being a little weasel, Stone gets told to put it away and is called into the chief's office for a scolding. Still claiming that the Scorpio killer is some kind of superhuman, Durkin enters with the lab results saying that the creature shares DNA with all its victims. The movie implies that it can shapeshift, though we never see it, which is how this 9-foot mutant can hide among the human crowd and leave these finger paintings in blood despite the claws. Learning that the killer never actually ate the final girl's heart, the partners race down to the morgue assuming that it'll return to finish the job. It attempts it but gets chased away by Stone and Durkin, who now believes his partner's stories that they aren't just dealing with a human. He repeats over and over that they need bigger guns and dismisses everything in the armory except for an assault shotgun that fires 600 rounds a minute. Loading up on grenades and ammunition, Detective Dick Durkin's now completely on board with Stone's way of going about things and even adopts his attitude towards Paulsen. He's come to the creative conclusion that the Scorpio monster is the embodiment of Satan and kills its victims in order to consume their souls. Yeah, he's gone a bit crazier than Stone ever did, but at least he's on board with hunting down the beast who's left a surprise of blood in the Scorpio's fridge. It's just more mind games as they find Michelle safe in the bathtub after accidentally touching the blood, probably because Stone left the window open again. While Durkin goes down to wait in the car, Stone calms Michelle down until receiving a call that his partner sees movement in the street. Leaving Michelle with the Magnum, Stone takes the disintegrator but finds the vehicle a few hundred meters down the road and Durkin tied up in the trunk. The creature now also has his DNA, but none of that actually matters in the movie, and Beastie just used this moment to lure Stone away from the apartment. It goes for Michelle, who verbalizes that this yet to be seen by the audience thing looks like a giant rodent, but it kidnaps her before the detectives can return. They really push this notion that's what it looks like as Durkin destroys the kitchen just because he saw a rat, but I just don't see the similarities myself. He passes out due to blood loss and Stone finds the astrological sign of Scorpio carved too deep into his chest for YouTube to handle. Realizing that the monster is killing its victims in specific places on a map, Stone recognizes the next target as where his previous partner was killed. They arm themselves and Durkin joins the hunt despite probably needing serious medical attention, but they find the London Underground's now sealed off. They locate a local legend called the Rat Catcher and coerce the coyote at gunpoint to show them the driest way into the tunnels. Once getting below sea level, the old man's wise enough to just hand over the keys and get the hell out, but it doesn't help save his life. The ones actually getting paid to do this search the tunnels until Stone has a brief scare when Dirk disappears beneath the water like his last partner, but this one just stepped in a hole or something. The creature's no longer killing a specific star sign anymore and murdered the Ratcatcher as well as tied up Michelle above an obvious trap. Durkin climbs up onto a railcart to retrieve her when the monster leaps out of the pool of water, but Stone shoots her bindings, releasing Michelle. He then chases the beast down, firing like crazy as it tears through the train cars, pursuing Durkin and Michelle, who run along the top. When Stone finally catches up, he's conveniently out of ammo and the heavily xenomorph-inspired mutation steps out of the shadows to begin caressing the Scorpio. We're told that Ratatouille is somehow a product of global warming as well as possibly demonic and can hire delivery men to transport packages despite never talking. It toys with Stone and gives him a straight-up ankle tap, but Durkin lights the creature up through a hole in the roof and tosses in a grenade. The three leap away before the blast, and after a quick smooch, Stone sticks a power cable into the cart while his partner fries the creature. It returns like any good movie monster, but the creature's battle damaged from the explosion, allowing Stone to punch straight through its chest. He pulls out the monster's heart and we get a clear view of Beastie's stylish wraparounds before Durkin arrives to finish it off. Holding the still beating heart in his hand, Stone fires a .450 Magnum into his palm and thankfully doesn't lose a finger. The survivors, now free from the rat demon's dark hold over them, depart the underground for a long vacation, I'm sure. While bubbles begin to rise in the tunnels, hinting at a sequel lurking beneath the surface. And the movie ends.